Good afternoon, everyone. I am Boluwatife Olontola, a junior digital marketing executive here at Futuresoft, and you're welcome to today's Launch and Learn. If today is your first time of joining us at Launch and Learn, you are welcome once again. And Launch and Learn is a bi-weekly program here at Futuresoft, where our staff get to train people on topics relating to our industry. So today we have Onyinye Chukwudi, our key account manager, who will be facilitating today's session on the topic customer analysis, a complete guide to understanding your target audience. So as the session goes on, kindly mute your mic. And if you have questions to ask, you can drop them in the chat box. Your questions will be answered after this session. So thank you all for your cooperation. Over to you, Onyinye.
Hi, Tife. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, my name is Onyinye, like you said, and I would be anchoring today's session on customer analysis. To begin with, we are going to be starting with this research done by Salesforce, and it's so we're going to be starting with this research done by Salesforce, and from their results, they discovered that 63% of customers expect businesses to already know what their unique needs are and what they expect from the business. And for B2B buyers, that number goes up to about 76%. So this goes to show how important it is for businesses to know and understand their customers. This is the only way that you'd be able to, predict what your customer wants and how to actually sell your goods and services to them. So that's the essence of this training. As a business, your customers are actually probably the most important factor in your business, because without your customers, you are going to run out of business and you are going to, die as a business. So it's important that you continue to serve your customers in the way that they want to be served, to anticipate their needs, to understand them more in-depthly as opposed to like surface. So with this understanding, you'll be able to create your marketing communications, you'll be able to, build strategy around your customers, not just on things that are trending. It will be tailored to your business and to your business goals. So it's important to know who your customers are, where they are, how they operate on the spaces where they exist, the media that they consume, the sort of things that they like to read, the sort of things that they like to watch, the sort of things that they like to hear. So it's important to know those channels that they exist in and how they exist on those channels. It's also important to know what they are interested in. So if you know what your customers are interested in, you would know how to tell stories around that interest, so that it spark interest in them to actually now patronize your business. It's also important to know what influences their purchase decision. This is a very, very important part, one that as marketers, as business owners who own businesses that operate on digital, we sort of forget, because there is an emotional part that we don't see when we look at our customers. When you try to analyze them from like a business angle, there's an emotional part that you cannot get from just, marketing to your customers. That emotion is what triggers them to drop their money. That emotion is what triggers them to actually, make a purchase. That emotion is quite very, very important as well. It's not just about emotion as well. There's like a psychological part to it. So at the end of this training, the hope is that as a business, as someone who markets for other businesses, you'd be able to segment your audience properly and then target them the way that they want to be targeted. If you do this successfully, you'll be able to improve your return on investment when it comes to like your marketing spend. So we've gone through the background of, what customer analysis will do for your business and why you should do this. But what really is customer analysis? What does it entail? So in the basic sense of it, it's just a way for businesses to collect both qualitative and quantitative data about their customers, and in order to gain more understanding of their customers' journey and the behavior that informs that, in order to optimize the decisions that they make in their businesses. So with proper customer analysis, you should be able to provide better services, maybe upgrade your goods if like it has faults and probably not meeting the needs of your customers, because you understand what they want. You'll be able to make positive changes to your business, to your services, in order to get better returns on your investment. So that's what customer analysis is basically. Now, moving on to why customer analysis is important. This is important because it helps you see your customer segments clearly. I have worked with plenty of businesses. I've worked with people who manage businesses as well. And it's a very common mistake for businesses to group their customers into one. So if you speak to certain businesses and ask them who they target, they probably tell you females from 18 to 65 years old. That's like, I don't know, it's an ocean of people, and in that ocean, in that crowd, your business would get lost. The messaging that you're trying to pass on will get lost because there's just so much that you need to do in order to reach that, that pool of people. So as a business, you need to see your business as like your customers as a segment, not just as a group of people. You need to tailor their wants and needs to, specific age range, to specific generation, to specific interest. And this is what customer analysis would help you do. As we go forward in the training, we'll get to how to segment your audience properly and how you can do that using different metrics that matter in your business. So you will be able to see your customer segments very, very clearly when you do good customer analysis. You can also target your marketing and communications to address very, very specific needs of your customers, because that's how you sell to them, because you know what they need and you know what they want, you know what they expect. Because of that, to be able to tailor your communications, your marketing, your adverts, anything that you put out, you'll be able to tailor it specifically for the specific people that you're trying to reach. You would also be able to determine the best channels to, market your goods and your services, and just the best channel to exist as a business, because that's where your customers are. You can also review gaps in the processes, your product, your service. I mentioned this earlier. So if you analyze your customers successfully, you might realize that the things that the people that you're trying to target want is not something that you're providing, or maybe what you're providing does not necessarily cover everything. So you'd be able to make upgrades, you'll be able to make changes, you'll be able to make decisions that address those needs, so that it will change the mind of the people that you want to reach, in order that they would patronize your business, or buy your products, or want your services. So another thing that it will help you do is to improve your customer relationships. So because you now know your customers to the T, you'd be able to communicate to them one-on-one. It would be like a brand speaking to a person, not just a group of people, which is very, very important when it comes to marketing, especially in this digital age. You want to be able to communicate to your customers as individuals. They want to feel like they are important. If you work with customers, you would know this, like they don't want to be grouped, you know, and managed as others. Everybody wants like specific attention, like specific needs. With that, with customer analysis, you'd be able to do that because you now know where in the spectrum your customers fall in. Do they want more attention, or they just want you to, you know, give them what they want and disappear? Because you understand them, you'd be able to tailor your customer service to meet their specific needs. Now we're going to go into like the steps on how to go about a successful and effective customer analysis. The first thing that you want to do is to start from where you are. And where you are is what your business currently does and who it provides it for. So you need to look at your current customers. That's the data that you have. It's sure, because these people have patronized your businesses before. They've bought products from you, they've gotten a service from you. You want to start with them because you have that data already. So you can gather all of this data and put your audience in segments. What I mean by segments is sort of like to group them in a similar way. So if you have a different group of people, you can group them in such a way that they relate to each other and they have like similar interests and wants. So that would be like a particular segment. And it's very, very possible for one business to have 5, 10, 15 audience segments. Some of them are primary, some of them are your core audience, some of them are just people who are secondary audience that purchase your business because of your primary audience. It will get clearer as we go forward. I know it's confusing, but you want to put your audience in segments, and some of the metrics that would help you do that is to divide them by demography, and this means like their age, gender, religion, education, generation as well. We know the whole Gen Z, millennial, baby boomers sort of segmentation. So you can use demography, you can use geography, which is where they are located. You can use psychography as well. And what this really is like what their interest is, the things that they are passionate about, the things that they talk about, what they value. With this, you'll be able to know the sort of discussions that you should get into. If you are a company that does probably CSR, or you just talk about happening topics or trends, you'll be able to know the specific ones that target the people who are in your audience segment. There's also behavioral, which is like the way that specific audience behave, their habits, their actions, how they interact with products and services. Are they like people who like to try out new stuff? So there are particular audience who are, they like things that are new. They like to be like the first people who try out things. Some people like to have seen other people try it before they would trust that product or service and go ahead to try it. So what sort of behavior, what sort of habits do your target audience have? This is another way to segment your audience. You can also do it through technography, and this just basically means maybe probably their level of technology. It could be the phone's operating system, the sort of technology that they're used to. It could also be like social media related as well. TikTok is like for a very different generation as opposed to like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So this sort of the way that they interact with technology, are they open to it? Are they quick to learn? So technography is another way. You could also use the industry where they exist, the industry where they work and interact with to divide them. You don't necessarily have to use all of these metrics when you want to do your audience segmentation. You can just pick and choose the ones that are important to your business. It doesn't have to be everything. this is a sample of like an audience segmentation that I did, and this is for a fashion brand that targets women. As you can see, is not I picked and choose like just the things that are important for this particular business, and I did the segmentation that way. So you don't necessarily have to pick everything. So you just have to understand your business, understand what's important for your business. What do you need to know as someone who runs a business? What do you need to know about your audience? What are the information that if you have about your audience, you'll be able to deliver better service, you'll be able to deliver better products to them. So that's the metrics that you should focus on. So to break this down, I've divided this audience. So for this fashion brand, they have like 5 different audience segments. It could be more, it could be wider than this, it could be narrower than this. So they have the fashion enthusiasts, who I would classify as their primary audience. So because as a fashion business, they are basically selling to women who are fashionable. That's like their first core audience. Then there are like friends and family of people who love and care about the fashion enthusiast. So say for instance, I am not a fashion person, for example, but I have a friend or a sister who loves fashion. I would be a target audience for a fashion brand if I was looking to maybe buy a gift for a friend or recommend something for somebody who is a fashion person. So the business may not be targeting me directly, but I am sort of like a secondary target audience because I have the potential to buy from that business. There's also fashion bloggers and influencers, fashion stylists, and then there's manufacturers and designers. If you go to demography, I have segmented them by age and like monthly income, because I think that for a fashion business, age comes to play because of style, different, age brackets, different generation of people dress differently, like different things, the material that they will probably choose and style that they will choose for fashion items will differ. There's also like monthly income because they need to, depending on like the sort of brand that you run. If you run a luxury brand, the monthly income might need to go up a bit. But if it's like an average fashion brand, then I think that 250 monthly is okay, because this sort of person would be able to afford to buy a piece or two from your brand monthly. For family and friends, the number sort of went up a bit as well, because it's not primarily something that they need. So they would need to have like an extra, they would need to have extra money to be able to afford that for somebody else. So that's like the thought process that went into this segmentation process. If you look at the fashion stylist, there's no, when it comes to like styling, and it has to be women, and those women need to fall people that you target. There's also manufacturers, because I'm sorry. There's also manufacturers because these people are looking for maybe distributors for their products. They want like a store or a brand that would be able to buy in bulk, or a brand that they will provide supply to, and then that brand sells for them. So it could be anything really. So there's location as well, and then there's interest. With this, what this would help a business to is target its content, target its marketing, target its communication to specific group. So because you've broken down your audience to these 5 different segments, you know the people that are in your audience pool. So if you want to speak to the manufacturers, for instance, it's not the same way that you would speak to your manufacturers, that you would speak to your stylists, that you would speak to your fashion enthusiasts. And a lot of business try to do all of this in one content, but I don't think that it works. It's just like different, that there are different ways and there are different channels that you can use to do that. Another way that I think that is effective for businesses to target all of their target segments in one goal is to focus on their primary target audience. Because when you reach the people that you actually want to reach, you'd be able to reach all of the people around those people. I don't know if I'm making sense, but what I'm trying to say is, for instance, this business primary audience is the fashion enthusiast. A fashion enthusiast does not exist alone. They exist in the world of style, of fashion, of travel. And people who are not fashion enthusiasts look up to these people, even if they would not buy as much as they will or show off as much as a fashion enthusiast will. They would believe and trust a fashion enthusiast recommendation. In that way, a brand who has successfully reached its primary audience, which in this case is the fashion enthusiast, to be able to reach their friends, their family, probably the bloggers who follow them to learn what's in trend. So if you focus on like your primary audience, you'd be able to reach a wider range of people. Trying to do everything at once will just confuse your business, and it will just be messy, in my opinion. So another thing that you need to do after you've put your audience in segments is to identify the most valuable segment in your audience. So there are different ways that you can do this, but before you do it, you need to understand as a business what is important to you. So what are you looking at? Are you looking at the number of customers that you currently have, or the number of customers that you can potentially have? Are you trying to keep them for a very long time, or do you want them to buy from you multiple times in a very short period of time? So as a business, what would be the objective with your audience? Do you want them for a lifetime, or do you want them multiple times for a short period of time? So yeah, again, with this step, there are different ways that you can do it. And one of the ways is to calculate the lifetime value of your customers. And this is the total value that a customer brings to your business over an entire lifespan. So if, for instance, okay, let's continue with the fashion example. So if you're a fashion brand that tailors to women between 25 to 35. So between 25 to 35 years, there's like 10 years period. So that 10 years is the lifespan of your average customer. So their total lifetime value would be, say they spend 50,000 naira on your business every single year. So their lifetime value would be the 50,000 that they spend every year times the 10 years, yes, that they are your customers. So then the number you get is what the lifetime value is. Excuse me. So what this helps you do is to look at your customer not just as a one-time customer, but as a lifetime customer. So you're looking at them not just for the value that they currently bring, but the value that they have the potential to bring to your business. So depending on what's important to your business, you can calculate the value of your customers using this method. The second one is to use your customer retention rate. And this is calculating the rate of your existing customers that continue to patronize your business over a period of time. With this, you need to know what your average customer retention rate is, And you can either use that number or use people who surpass your average to now determine what your valuable segment is. Another way to do it, to calculate your valuable segments, would be to calculate what your repeat purchase rate is. So which segment of your audience has like the most repeat, and with retention rates, you're calculating over a period of time. With your repeat rate, there's no period of time. It's just like the number of times that they buy from you as often as possible. Again, it will depend on your business. So it will make sense for, say, an electronic business or a business that sells furniture, for example, to measure based on retention rates, because electronics and furniture and maybe cars are not something that you purchase as often as possible. You purchase them like over a period of time. So the number of people that tend to come back after that time could be your retention rate. But with repeat purchase, this would be more for like businesses that have that are fast. So maybe a skincare brand, for example, or a makeup brand, something that needs repurchasing very, very often. So how many people come back for it? It could be a fashion brand as well, exactly, because people wear multiple fashion things over a very short period of time. So you need to understand your business, like I said. You need to understand your business. What is important for one business is different from what is important to other businesses. So you need to determine that for yourself and then choose the option that you want to use. The next step after you've calculated your customer, your value, the audience value, would be to speak to your customers directly. As marketers, as digital marketers specifically, we've learned and we've been taught that your analytics is where you get to learn everything that you need to know about your customers. This is true, but not really, really true. Because like I said before, there's like an emotional, there's like a psychological part of your customers that your analytics cannot tell you. You can only understand that part of your customer by speaking to them directly. That's the only way you'll be able to understand like decision, the emotional push that makes them patronize your business. And there's a lot, especially in this day and age, there's like a lot of emotions that go into like purchase decisions, and you want to understand that because with that you'll be able to push your customers to patronize your products and your services. In order to do this, you need to speak to your customers directly. And with the invention of social media, with the internet, there are several ways that you can use to do this. You can speak to your customers directly using those digital channels. And outside of digital channels, you can run focus group discussions, you can do interviews. This method works best for like B2B businesses because you know where your customers are physically. So you can set up a meeting, go to them directly, or speak to them on the phone, or however you choose to, just to, you know, get what emotions are, just to, you know, understand what drives their purchase decision. Why do they continue to come back? The first time that they saw you and made that purchase, why did they make that decision? Was it just by chance? And after that one chance, where did they come back again, and why? So these are the sort of things that you get from speaking to your customers directly, and it's a very, very important step to, you know, understand your customers properly. So depending on your budget, again, depending on your business, pick the right method and, you know, reach out to your customers. So now, going back to analytics, I already explained that with analytics, you can get a wealth of knowledge about your customers, but this is primarily on how they interact with your digital channels. So with your analytics, you would see the sort of content that they like, where they are coming from, where they are, how long they stay like on a particular page. You know, those are the sort of things that you would be able to tell from your analytics, just like who your customers are on the internet. So that's like the sort of knowledge that you need, that you would be able to gain from studying your analytics, which you need to do in order to understand your customers deeply. So you cannot displace analytics, even though you need to speak to your customers directly. You cannot also displace analytics when it comes to customer analysis, because like the way people operate on digital is very, very important when it comes to how to drive them to make a purchase or buy goods and services. In this day and age, people just see things and it sparks certain, you know, emotions, it sparks certain feelings that make them make certain decisions. With analytics, you'll be able to know, because you know the places where the people that you're trying to target go to when they interact on digital. So you need to leverage data from your marketing analytics as well. So the next step, after you've gathered all of this data from analytics, from speaking to your customers, from segmenting your audience and picking the ones that are valuable, all of this, when you gather it, you're supposed to create a buyer persona with that information. A buyer persona is sort of similar to segment, but they are not the same thing. With segmenting your audience, you put them in a group. With creating buyer personas, you want to individualize your audience as much as possible. So this is where you'll be able to now treat your audience as like an individual as opposed to a group. So your buyer persona needs to be as detailed as possible, and it needs to contain things that you would probably think are trivia. So it needs to go down to like the details. This will help give you a visual representation of who you are trying to reach. It's easy to say that your target audience are women between 25 to 30 who reside in Lagos and earn 250,000. Doing this is totally different from saying that I'm targeting Onyinye, who is 29 years old, works at Futuresoft, likes to read, does not like to talk. You know, it's very different, because now you know who Onyinye is as a person, as opposed to who women between the ages of 25 to 30, who they are, because people are so different. People are so, you know, unique in the way that they are, that you want to be able to build a persona that is as identical to your target audience as possible. So this is an example of a buyer persona. I didn't do this, I pasted this up from the internet. But as you can see, it has sort of like a caricature of a person with a name, age, like where he lives, what he earns, his goals and motivation, you know, the pain points, the things that he struggles with, interest, what he's interested in. So it needs to be as in-depth as possible, as opposed to like segmentation that just groups everybody together. So this just gives you like a visual representation of your audience as an individual, as opposed to a group. So after you've created your persona, this is what you would now focus on, because that is what the result of your analysis is. Yes, so that's what the result of your analysis is, and that is what you want to focus on. So you want your marketing, your communication, your ad to fit Onyinye, not just women between the age of this to this and who reside here. So you want to target people, you want to target your audience specific to what their needs are, what their wants are. So you cannot just do this exercise and dump it. If you don't practice it, you would understand your audience fine, but if you don't put this to use, you'll not be able to get any return on investment because you would not have practiced what you need to in order to, get that. So you need to focus on that. Gather the results that you've gotten from all of the analysis that you've done, and focus on it. So in conclusion, you need to conduct periodic reviews as well. So it's not just about gathering all of this information and doing creating personas with them and then targeting them. At a point with digital, as we've come to see, things change and things will continue to change. And as things are changing, your customers will change. The person that Onyinye is probably not the person she would be in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years' time. So you don't want to, because you found out that your target is Onyinye, and just focus on Onyinye the way she is right now. You want to make upgrades, you want to make changes as your audience continue to grow and change. You want to grow and change with them as well, and also incorporate details of their life, details of their life experiences, the changes that they are experiencing that matter in your customer journey. So you want to do that so that you stay on top of your customers at all times. So at the end of a successful customer analysis, you should be able to understand your customers better. You should be able to tailor your marketing, your communication, your ads, everything that you do on digital, everything that you do with your digital marketing should be able to fit a specific audience goal. You should be able to target specifics, in that when your target audience sees it, they would know that you're speaking to them as opposed to speaking to like a wide range of people that they probably relate with maybe 10 or 15% of the time, you get. So yeah, with that, we've come to the end of this training session. If you have any questions, please, this will be the time to ask.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, so for those who may not identify my voice, is David Worker. My name is David Worker. So, and basically, mine is not a question, but I think I just want to highlight an aspect that I really found very insightful.
Okay.
The breakdown of the segmentation and how you collect the data from the segmentation to directly impute to the buyer persona. I think that's something I found really insightful. And a lot of times it comes out as simple for some business persons, to have this data, but trying to relate it in terms where they can actually use it to drive their product or services. It's often where some persons, I would say, eventually miss it, and they have so much on their plate and they're not able to drive it. But the analysis, you've been able to create, I think that was very insightful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you.
Patricia has a question in the comment section. Said,
oh, okay. Please, can we get the recording? How do we tell the need of the target audience? Okay, so for your first question, I'm assuming you're just joining us for the first time today. You're welcome. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, old videos there, and this one will be uploaded there as soon as possible. So you would get that, and if you subscribed as well, I think it will be sent to your inbox via mail. But easy, just subscribe to the YouTube channel and you will get access to all of the videos, all of the lessons we've taught in the past and future ones as well. Then for your second question, how do we tell the need of the target audience. So when you break your target audience down to an individual with age, interest, demography, what else, with as much detail as possible, you should be able to tell the things that you're interested in. It's not, it shouldn't be rocket science. First of all, you know who you are trying to target, you know what their need and interests are, you know the products that you are offering. So I think that you should start from there as well. So what sort of products do you sell? For somebody who would need your products, what stage of life are they in? So are they young, are they old? If they're in Nigeria, what are the sort of challenges that they are facing? If you are in Nigeria, ideally you should be located in the place where your business exists. So you should be familiar with like the challenges that people face in that location. So like these are telltales of what would interest your target audience. So it's not supposed to be rocket science, but in order to do that properly, you need to understand your business, understand the sort of value that you are bringing. And for the person who would appreciate that sort of value, where are they in life? Like how do they act online? Where are they? So yeah, I think that should help. I don't know, does it answer your question, or do you need more clarification?
Okay, said yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Onyinye, for this wonderful presentation. And in the absence of no questions, we'll bring this session to an end. Thank you all for joining us, and we would love to see you again in the next 2 weeks. The video will also be available on our YouTube channel, so you can watch the replay. And that brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you all.